I say to 'em, whoa, whoa, why? Welcome to the show. The many lamentations fade to say to 'em, whoa, welcome to the show. Whoa, why? You know the ship it is done sailed by the rivers of Babylon, where she sat down, and there she wept for the memory of Zion. Let them words fall loud, the many lamentations fail. I say, whoa, whoa, why? You know the ship it is done sail. Welcome to the show. Saturday Night live stream. Russia versus Ukraine. We're going to talk about that tonight a little bit. And other things, amongst other things. Anybody unfamiliar with the show, there is no subject taboo or off the table. We've even been known to sing a song or two. Yep. I hold nothing back. I'm regularly getting struck. I've got multiple channels. This is the second channel I'm on. My other channel got a couple of strikes on it, and they're going to be coming up soon, so I'm going to be unprivating the videos, because when you got 2 strikes on your channel, you're just way too susceptible to be destroyed. So you got to fucking private the videos, go to ground, you know, because well, I'm one of those dudes that the SJWs and the feminists like fucking with, and the algorithms. Yeah, I talk about shit that people don't like hearing about, and we're gonna be talking about some shit that people aren't gonna want to hear about tonight, because that's what I do. I'm the man who tackles the tough subjects, and no subject is taboo or off the table. And we do take calls from time to time. It is an open line stream. It's usually in the latter half of the show. So if you want to come on, chop it up with Big Daddy later on, the Streamyard's link is in the description. Vicky Verse in the chat, welcome. Anybody else in the chat that comes along from now until the show ends, and anybody on the replay, welcome to the motherfucking show. Yep, got a little hot coffee tonight. Got the energy flowing. Yeah, this is me calmed down at the end of the day, after about 85 bong hits. If I was to do the show within the first hour of waking up, it would be a completely different show. I thought about doing that one of these days, like a Big Daddy in the morning type thing. Maybe I will. Just drink coffee in the morning right when I first get up, when get that peak energy going. But like I said, it'd be a completely different show. Like if I'm regularly getting fucking like attacked by SJWs and shit, with me in my calmed state, just imagine me in my fucking hyper state. Anyway, where the fuck are we going with this shit? Where are we going with this? Yeah, fucking Russia, Ukraine. That's a story going on. A war, as they call it. In Russia, they call it a special military operation, though. That's the official name for it. But yeah, there's one dude who's real happy about this right now. Old cuck Trudeau, the bastard son of Fidel Castro. His stupid ass is no longer in the news. Yep. That and the goddamn coof. It's like, goddamn, if we were gonna end the coof by having Vladimir Putin invade the Ukraine, the son of a bitch should have did this 2 years ago. Fuck. Yeah, you're not hearing about the coof anymore in the news. Nothing about Canadian authoritarianism. Yeah. It's back to Russia. Huh. I find it funny. Russia, we sanctioned Russia. That we gave Russia sanctions over a fake story made up by Hillary Clinton. Meanwhile, the communist Red Chinese can unleash a fucking bioweapon upon humanity and not face a single fucking sanction? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Anyway, a lot of these people out there here is just pure diarrhea of the mouth. It's like, come on, people. The same news media that lied for 4 years about Russia, you're going to all of a sudden believe what the fuck they say? Like, come on, people. Come on. Like, nope. You have smart, intelligent people just diarrhea of the mouth, regurgitating shit they heard in mainstream news media. Like, Jesus Christ, I couldn't believe some of the shit I've heard. Yeah. Russia, Ukraine. Yeah, you're not hearing about the COVID anymore. Fuck. Goddamn, Vladimir, you should have fucking invaded that place 2 years ago. If that was what it was going to take to stop the fucking goddamn Great Reset shit. Yeah, they're still going through with it, though. Who am I kidding? Yeah, they're just gonna lube that square peg up and try to shove it into that round hole. Yeah. Fucking Russia, Ukraine. I'm telling you, you gotta be careful. Don't believe the hype. I said, don't believe. I said, don't believe. I said, don't believe the hype, as Flavor Flav would say. Yeah, be real skeptical about what you hear in the media. The same people that lied for 4 years, Russia, and all of a sudden, we're gonna fucking believe what these fuckers say? No. No, the truth is, if you're getting any of your news from Western news sources at this point in the game, I just simply don't say it for you. I simply don't know what to fucking say. Yeah, but the only way to truly understand what's really going on is you got to go outside of the mainstream news media and start to. Well, the first thing I would, the first bit of advice I would give everyone out there is to put together your own intelligence network. This is a very important thing. An intelligence network. Every man should have his own fucking intelligence network in one way or another. And I'm not talking about just flipping on CNN or CNBC or something, Fox News. That's not an intelligence network. You can have that be a part of your intelligence network that you can weigh against what you're hearing. That way you can sift between the bullshit. But you got to have a fucking intelligence network. At least 5 different sources of information that are all independent and separate from each other. That way you can get those stories and then, look at them, compare them to one another, then look at the mainstream stories, and then you can sift between the bullshit, and then you know exactly what's going on. Like, a lot of people think that there's a war going on. Yeah, there's a war, but it's not the type of war you think. Like, as far as conventional war goes, it's pretty much already over. Russia has crushed the Ukraine, and it's just a matter of mopping up whatever military resistance is there and taking care of whatever foreign mercenaries that the West funds from here on out. The true war, the real war, is a war of propaganda that's being waged in the media right now. I'm talking a full-blown propaganda war. Now, what's going to happen is, it's already happening, actually. But these Ukrainians, they're going to start waging false flag attacks against themselves. And they're going to blame the Russians, is what's going to happen. Like, what they'll do is, they'll take a training facility building located on the outside of a nuclear power plant and then set it on fire. And then have stories all throughout the news media about how Russians are shelling nuclear power plants and trying to cause a Chernobyl-like incident. And it's pure bullshit. It's a propaganda war is what it is. There's going to be a fake war being waged through the news media. And a lot of it is going to be Ukrainians attacking each other and blaming the Russians. They're already firing white phosphorus rockets into their own fucking suburbs. Yeah, a lot of these people don't understand the true nature of what's going on. It's a fucking pseudo-civil war is what's going on that Russia decided to intervene in. That's what really happened. Yeah, for your average dipshit Westerner that's consuming Western news media right now that has no idea what's going on, let me break it down for you. And for me to fully break it down, I got to start from the beginning. Not the beginning, but I'll give you a little bit of history on the area. Starting with World War II. You see, Joseph Stalin and the communists, They ruled the Ukraine with an iron fist. Like there are a few countries suffered more under communism than the Ukraine. Now, when Hitler and the Nazis came through and liberated the Ukraine back in the day and threw off the yoke of communism, Hitler was looked at as a hero by the Ukrainian people. And the Nazi Party was such a popular thing that to this day, the Nazi Party is an actual thing in the Ukraine. Now, this is a key part of the story. Remember that. Anyway, fast forward to Cold War era. Nikita Khrushchev gave away a portion of Russia known as the Crimea to the Ukraine in a backroom deal. The people of that area had no fucking say on it. However, there were certain clauses they wrote into their constitutions that at any point during time that there is no acting power in the Ukraine, that the Crimea, they can hold a voter referendum on whether or not they want to join back with Russia. This is another key part of the story. All right. Now, fast forward to 2014. What happened was we decided to have a little what's called color revolution over there in the Ukraine. Now, anybody unfamiliar with what a color revolution is, just look at what happened in the United States of America in the year that led up to what happened in November of 2020. That's what a color revolution is. It's when you have forces that are funded and they cause a lot of chaos. And when the election finally happens, like some real dubious shit goes down and the party you never thought would have won wins under real dubious circumstances. What it basically is a coup d'etat. That's what a color revolution is. Anyway, George Soros ran a color revolution over there in the Ukraine, and they installed a puppet whatever over there that was basically nothing more than a cat's paw of the West, that we could turn the entire country into a massive slush fund money laundering operation for corrupt American politicians and their friends. Anyway, the party the party that George Soros and his little crew decided to install over there, the Nazi Party. Yep, Nazis. Anyway, yeah, like I said, remember, it was a crucial component, talking about how the Nazis were a fucking actual legit party in the Ukraine because of the popularity of Hitler back in the day. Like, it doesn't have the stigma attached to it the way it does in the West. And it's not like they're trying to gas Jews and doing the types of shit that old school Nazis did. They're more in line with old school Soviet communists, is what they are. But anyway, while this color revolution was being popping off in the Ukraine, there was a moment in time where there was no acting power in the Ukraine. So the Crimea decided to enact their constitutional, the little thing that they wrote in their constitution where their people can hold a voter referendum on whether or not they want to join back with Russia. Anyway, they did that, and the people voted overwhelmingly to join back with Russia. And somehow this got spun in the Western news media as, oh my God, look at Russia. They have just annexed the Crimea. They're attacking the Ukraine, or whatever. It was all bullshit, of course. But anyway, ever since then, the Crimea, it's become two separate areas, Donetsk and Luhansk. They've become independent republics, LPR and the DPR. Now, since voting to join back with Russia, they never formally recognized them, It's just kind of like, hey, good for you guys, kind of pat you on the head type thing. But ever since the Crimea decided to break away and join with Russia in 2014, the Ukraine has been launching a relentless series of attacks against those areas, the LPR and the DPR. There's been a civil war since 2014 in the Ukraine. Over 10,000 civilians have died altogether in this fucking civil war. And these areas, these two independent republics that voted to become part of Russia, that Russia hasn't formally recognized or whatever, that they've been requesting aid from the Russians for years to come to their aid against the Ukrainian aggression. But what happened was, here recently, it was the 24th of February, Putin finally came out and formally announced that he was going to recognize these two independent republics as actual legit entities. And in doing so, in recognizing them, he decided to come to their aid. And that's basically what this is. Russia coming to the aid of these two independent republics being attacked by the Ukraine. And in doing so, it's going to give Russia the excuse that they've been looking for to go in there and pacify the Ukraine, meaning completely purging it of all of its Western military, whatever the fuck that we've been putting in there. Because there's more to the story than meets the eye. You see, during before the fall of the Soviet Union, we decided to take measures against them and put together an alliance of countries called NATO. Now, this whole alliance of countries was meant to be a bulwark against Russia. Well, not Russia. They were the Soviet Union is what they were, a communist nation. Now, what happened was slowly we started integrating these countries close to Russia into NATO. And there was a certain treaty signed that NATO was never going to allow certain countries into its whatever, including the Ukraine. Anyway, NATO has been trying to bring the Ukraine into the fold and have the Ukraine become a NATO country. Now, this is a country right on Russia's fucking border. Now, what would happen if NATO became or if Ukraine became part of NATO? Then we were going to put nuclear weapons over there in the Ukraine. We were building a big old military facility. And anyway, it's like 5 minutes away from striking Moscow. So basically, Russia was looking at its own Cuban Missile Crisis style situation, where you had a hostile foreign nation that wants to put nuclear weapons right on your fucking border. Now, the Ukraine never officially joined NATO. They were just kind of flirting with it. What the Ukraine mostly was used for, as I said, it was nothing more than a slush fund money laundering operation for corrupt American politicians, most of them Democrats. Now, what they would do is they would take their children and put them on the boards of like oil companies and shit like that, like Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, John Kerry's kid was on there. So same as Nancy Pelosi's kid, same as Mitt Romney's kid. And what they would do is they would give the children of these politicians millions of dollars, and then the children would funnel the money to their parents. It's called maintaining plausible deniability. There were money laundering is what it was. So you have this corrupt country that basically came to being via a coup d'etat that was nothing more than a goddamn slush fund money laundering operation for corrupt American politicians. And they were going to end up trying to fucking use it as a staging area to launch attacks against your country one day, possibly with nuclear weapons. What the fuck did you think Vladimir Putin was going to do? Especially for years when he's got Western media crowing about how, oh my God, look at how aggressive Putin is. Look at how much of a bad guy he is. Look at him attack the Crimea. He's so aggressive. Yeah, they're painting him as a bad guy when the reality is Putin showed an admirable degree of restraint for many, many years. Now, sometimes hard lessons need to be learned in life. Sometimes hard lessons need to be taught. And if you grant a man Voldemort status long enough in life, don't act surprised if he becomes Voldemort. And that's exactly what Putin is doing. He's like, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. Like, why not just go in there and fucking completely take out all of these military facilities that the West is putting in there? And a lot of people don't know or understand, but the Russians, it's strategic strikes against military targets only. Now, you're going to hear a lot of bullshit in the news media about how the Russians are shelling civilians and attacking civilians. It's all bullshit, pure bullshit. This is not to say that the independent republics of the DPR and the LPR are doing whatever. I'm talking about the Russians. Because, I mean, just like in Afghanistan when we armed the Northern Alliance to go fight against the Taliban and shit like that. I mean, we weren't wholly responsible for what the Northern Alliance did and vice versa. So what the Russians are mostly doing is aiding these two independent republics against Ukrainian aggression, which is mostly coming from a bunch of fucking Nazis. That's what Vladimir Putin means by denazification of the fucking country, is getting rid of these fucking Nazis, the ones I talked about. Like I said, it's a whole different thing over there than it is in the West. And this is one of the worst things that the leftists did when they watered down the term Nazi, to where when it's actually used in real life nowadays, people, they don't even believe it, because the term has been so watered down by the left that you could actually have real life goose-stepping Nazis fucking, engaging in genocide against innocent people. And it just flies under the radar because the word Nazi has been watered down so fucking much by the left. Yeah, that's reality. But anyway, this was a brilliant play by Putin on so many levels. Many levels. One, he's fucking prevented the Ukraine from being a part of NATO. And that's the number one thing. Number two, what's going to happen is the West is going to pour billions of dollars in there trying to wage a goddamn guerrilla war against the Russians by funding a bunch of mercenaries. You're going to have a lot of Blackwater, Dying Corp types, but you're going to have a lot of real fucking just terrible fucking like Foreign Legion types going in there. And what they want to do is arm them with Javelin missiles so they could take out the Russian tanks or whatever. The Russians, they've already seized a whole shitload of these Javelin missiles that we're trying to give to these yahoos. But a Javelin missile is a fucking expensive piece of hardware. It's like a fucking couple $100,000 per missile. And we've only got so many of them. And what's going to happen is it's going to bleed the West dry. Like if they decide to fight the Russians with a guerrilla war by funding mercenaries and shit like that, it's just going to become a fucking, it's going to bleed the money. That's what it's going to do. And the Russians know this. And in doing so, you got to look at this through Vladimir Putin's fucking point of view. He would rather turn the Ukraine into a fucking battlefield from now to the end of time than allow it to become a fucking part of NATO and allow nuclear weapons to be put there. That's reality. I would do the fucking same thing too if I was him. Yeah, the Russians thought about actually, fucking with us the same way we're doing with them, and going to countries like Venezuela and Cuba and like building military bases there. But they realized strategically, if you put a military base on a country like that, it's a stationary target that can be destroyed. Whereas if you have a mobile military fortress in the form of a submarine that can carry 160 nuclear weapons, then that is much, much better than putting a stationary base on a fucking country. So what they've done is they've boosted up their fucking submarine fleets with these super submarines. I've talked about these before. A few weeks ago, they had one surface right up off the East Coast, one of these super subs of theirs. It makes that fucking submarine, Red October from that old movie, Hunt for Red October, look like a fucking Sesame Street fucking toy. I'm telling you. One of those fucking subs, 160 nuclear weapons, you lay waste to every major fucking city and almost every major military fucking strategic target just with one goddamn sub. And they've got multiple fucking subs. They've had one pop up right off the coast of Britain too, just to let us, the West, know, hey, like if you guys want to come fuck with us, we could just lay waste to your nations. And you want to know what the official Russia battle plan is? If NATO decided to fucking do anything to Russia, like as far as attack it in any way, the very first thing they're going to do is destroy NATO headquarters at Brussels. That's the very first thing they're going to do. And then the second thing they're going to do is destroy every major city of all of the nations of NATO. And don't think that they can't do it, because they can. Just with their submarine fleet. Not even talking about their fucking hypersonic missiles that they have. These things go beyond cruise missiles. Go up into the atmosphere, and they got these vehicles that travel, and then all of a sudden there's raining fucking nuclear bombs down on you. Yep. There's nothing we can do either, because if America or NATO, it wouldn't happen though. But let's just say America or NATO both decided to, truly put troops on the ground in the Ukraine and do anything. You want to know the very first thing that would happen? China would make a play on Taiwan. That's what would happen. And it's like, boom, checkmate. What are we going to do? Fight a war on two fronts? No. because that's what China and Russia were both waiting on each other to do. Like if China made a play on Taiwan and we decided to go do anything in Russia, boom, what it did went into the Ukraine and vice versa. Yeah, this is a brilliant play on several levels. Now you see the West, we're all suffering with high gas prices now and shit like that. And we're supposedly punishing the Russians by, you know, banning them from Facebook and Twitter and Pornhub and shit like that. It's like, really? You're actually doing them a fucking favor, you idiots. Yeah, and they think they can try to cancel the Russians too by, you know, stopping them from doing forms of electronic banking like PayPal and shit like that. But they'll figure out a way around it. If we keep going down this route of just trying to cancel the Russians the same way they try to cancel people like me, like what's going to happen is they're going to drive the Russians further into the arms of the Chinese. And the Chinese are going to cut new deals with them, and it's just going to make China stronger. That's all it's going to do. And China is the biggest strategic fucking enemy we have, not the goddamn Russians. No. You see, we're operating on this old school Cold War Wolfowitz doctrine mindset that's antiquated, and it's fucking like 30, 40 years old, and we need to just throw that shit away and just completely reconnoiter our fucking foreign policy. Talked about this in prior episodes. Go back and look at Woke Apocalypse Now, Man on Fire Radio, that episode I did several weeks back, where I laid out the blueprint for how to take down China, basically. Like I've said this before, there's certain blueprints for taking down communist nations. And it's what we did to the old Soviet Union. Do the same thing to China. A NATO-style alliance, but against the Chinese. And the chief country, the most important country in this alliance against the Chinese is the Russians. We cannot allow the Russians and the Chinese to team up. Strategically, when you look at it in the geopolitical sense, it's one of the fucking biggest fuck-ups the Western nations ever did by allowing Russia and China to team up the way they did, when the Western nations should have peeled Russia away and turned Russia into a fucking ally. Because your average dipshit fucking Westerner doesn't understand and realize Russia is no longer a communist nation. The Soviet Union fell back in the late 80s. Russia, they actually hold elections. They're a democracy. They're actually a Christian nation. Do you think Vladimir Putin has to, you know, have Dominion voting software and 3 a.m. Ballots come in to put him over in his fucking country? No. The people legitimately elect him because he's popular and they like him. Yeah, do you think the Vladimir Putin and the Russian people fucking attack others the way that people are attacked in America, where it's like full cancel culture, take away your bank account if you don't fucking believe what I believe, silence you? Like, no, that's what we do. Yeah, you want to know what the reality is? America, many of these Western nations, we have become what the old Soviet Union was. And Russia, the old Soviet Union that is now Russia, has become what America once was. This is reality. We've reversed roles. Yep. This is reality. And I speak the truth. And you know it deep in your heart. So you best make your peace some other way. Because I don't fuck around. Speak the truth. I'll make your peace some other way. Yeah. If you know what I mean. But yeah. There's a lot of fake news coming out about this Russia-Ukraine war, as it's called. No, it's a special military operation. That's what the Russians are calling it. There's going to be a lot of fake news. There's going to be a fake war going to be fought through the news media is what's going to happen. And most of it is going to be Ukrainians attacking themselves and their own citizens and trying to blame the Russians. Trying to get idiot fucking Westerners with large Twitter followers to just diarrhea of the mouth. Like, that's what it's all about. A fucking propaganda war. and innocent people are gonna fucking die because of it. So every one of these fucking idiots out there who just diarrhea of the mouth on social media that have like large followings and shit, like these people don't understand it or realize it, but any sort of innocent people that die because of these fucking idiots promulgating a false narrative, they got a little bit of blood on their hands, whether they understand that or realize it or not. This is true. This is how dangerous fake news is. The Ghost of Kiev. Remember that one? How many leftists out there were mad when people fucking tried to explain that that was a fake news story? Mad because they wanted it to be true. They wanted it to be real. The Ghost of Kiev. Anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about. Shortly after the war began, there was a meme that started floating around about this mysterious Ukrainian pilot who took down 6 Russian MiGs. He's being dubbed the Ghost of Kiev. And it turns out it was nothing more than a damn Sam Hyde meme. But these fucking leftists fucking fell for it. Yeah, Sam Hyde, the fucking lolcow himself. They wanted a Sam Hyde meme to be real. Yep. Yeah, the truth is, I mean, you look at these countries in the West, you look at what Canada did here. Like, they're probably still doing it, but we don't know because it's not being reported on the news media. Canada has gone full Soviet Union, is what it did. What Justin Trudeau did with his emergency powers, how was that any different from what Khrushchev did? Or any of those fucking old Soviet Union leaders? Like, I'm not talking like full Stalin where he killed millions of his own people. Well, Trudeau hasn't gone there yet. Not yet, he hasn't. But yeah, at what point are these Western nations going to look at themselves in the mirror and understand that they became what the old Soviet Union referred to as useful idiots? Yeah, that's what the old Soviet Union used to call these people that would promulgate their communist ideas in their Western countries. They called them useful idiots. And the useful idiots became the fucking leaders of these countries and started instituting old school Soviet fucking practices. Yep. Yeah, there was a former Soviet propaganda minister that once talked about how the Soviet Union would control the narrative, control propaganda. And he said the key to controlling people's minds, controlling the news, it wasn't about the news stories that they decided to print. It was about the news stories they decided not to print. That was how you controlled the narrative. By controlling what people didn't see. Yep. And there's a lot of things that the American news media will never allow you to see, and a lot of things it will never tell you about. Like the little brief history I gave you about the Ukraine leading up to all that shit. Like the whole thing about the Nazis. Like, what's Putin talking about? Denazification. Like, they're not going to tell you about how when Hitler threw off the yoke of communism back in the day, that he was looked at as a hero in the Ukraine. And so much so that the Nazi party is actually a fucking thing to this day. Like, they're not going to explain that to you. Yeah, you got to understand history. People don't understand their history. And those who don't understand their history are doomed to repeat it. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of funny storylines resulting from all this shit. Yeah, it'd be funny if a goddamn world war happened and they decided to draft women. Boy, you talk about rejecting feminism real quick. Oh, I tell you, going to be a lot of women going to be like, oh my God, I just want to be a traditional housewife again. I don't want to go to war. What about this equality thing? No, 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 no. We're not equal. Yeah. When shit hits the fan, I'm telling you, yeah. Well, we could, like I said, part of the plan to take down China, amongst other things, with building a NATO-style alliance around it and choking it off with sanctions and all that shit, was to eventually round up all the ultra hypergamous tattoo sleeve cock goblins we have in America all the feminists, and then just airdrop them into China, because nothing can destroy a fucking culture and society more than a feminist quicker, if you know what I mean. So what we could do is, we'll drop the feminists off over there in Russia. We'll let them do their thing. We'll round them all up. Like, hey, go take care of them. No. No, it never happened. Yeah, I hear a lot of these Reddit soy boys that are all about taking down Russia, that were, victims of 4 years of fucking social engineering, anti-Russia bullshit through the media. They're all completely radicalized against the Russians, ready to go fucking fight, take up javelin missiles. Boy, if I was a multi-billionaire, like fucking entrepreneur, philanthropist type thing, I would create like an American Foreign Legion consisting of nothing but a bunch of like Reddit leftists and shit like that, and just go round them up and just go drop them off over there in the Ukraine. All right, there you go. Because they don't have no fucking battlefield experience or anything like that. Like, they're just gonna fucking get captured in prison or get killed. And then you get rid of those fucking people, just purge your fucking society of that fucking trash, basically. Get rid of them. Get rid of the Reddit mods. Get rid of them. All the transies too. Fucking draft the troons. Oh, shit, you don't have to draft them. They're already joining the military en masse. Yeah, the military's gone full woke now, don't you know? Yep. Yeah, that's another reason why the Russians decided to make a move on the Ukraine. If you're going to make a move on the Ukraine at any point in time, now would be the time, when your main foe, the United States, has like a woke military. I hear Biden has enlisted the aid of the dreaded trans general. Ooh, yeah, Biden's real scared of the trans general. Like, I don't even know if there's a trans general even on the case. I'm just fucking guessing, but I'm guessing there is. I mean, that's just how woke the military is. That I can just throw a fucking dart at the wall and just say that there's a trans general that's fucking on the case, and there probably is. Yep. We're fucked. We're utterly fucked. Send the furries over there. Yeah, create an entire trans battalion. Fucking throw them at the fucking Russians. There you go. The only problem is, before they even reach the field of battle, 40% of them are dead. Like, what? How did that happen? They yeeted themselves. Yep. That's what happens. Yep. 40%. That's the rate. Yeah, in this day and age, you want to fucking chop off your genitals on the taxpayer dollar? Go join the military. Yeah, China and Russia fucking loving that, looking at the United States of America with a woke military. Furries and troons. Troons and furries. Navy beans, navy beans. Meatloaf sandwich, meatloaf sandwiches. Slappy Joes, slappy Joes, if you know what I mean. Yep. They don't understand though. The Russians, they've been at war like for a long time, going back to their beginning of their history. They know how to wage war in winter too. I mean, the Russians are what's called winter soldiers. Now, there's a vast difference between a winter soldier and a summer soldier. Now, we're just kind of getting out of winter, so Russia decided to launch their offensive now, because you don't want to fucking launch an offensive in winter. Everybody knows that. Anybody remember the case of Napoleon deciding to go into Russia? And he did it at the wrong time of the year. And what the Russians did is they decided to use the Russian winter against Napoleon. So they lured him further, deeper into Russia. And finally, Napoleon and his army, they're on the brink of starvation. They get to Moscow, and the Russians burn Moscow to the ground, just completely raze it. Like, no, Napoleon, you're not going to come to this city and take the food. So by the time Napoleon gets there, Moscow's burnt to the ground. His men are starving to death. So they have to turn around and head back in the dead of winter, starving. And then the Russians attack their flanks, firing cannons, shooting at them. And Napoleon's army, fucking thousands of men starved to death. There was fucking one case where like thousands of horses fucking every day dying. Yeah, you don't want to attack the Russians because these men are winter soldiers. Yeah, us here in the West, we're not winter soldiers. We're summer soldiers. There's a vast difference between a winter soldier and a summer soldier. A man that can fight in the dead of winter. You don't want to fuck with those types of people. Yep. Well, I've ranted and raved about Russia quite a bit. Maybe yeah, we're almost at the halfway point. We'll take a couple minute break here in a second. Put on a little theme music. Put on a little Final Fantasy. Take a couple minute break, and we'll come off, finish off the show. Talk about some other shit. Yep. All right. Take a couple minute break here. Two minutes, guys. Go grab a sandwich, get a smoke, grab a drink. Back in 2 minutes. All right. Hope you're ready for the next episode. A little longer than 2 minutes, but hey, that's how it goes. Welcome back to the show. All right. Fuck, where are we going to take it now? Normally this is the halfway point, but shit, we might go for another fucking 3 hours. Who knows? Yeah, they're trying to cancel Russia. I hear they've taken Russia off of Apple Maps. Like, they're just taking it off the map. Like, we're not going to acknowledge you. Yeah, seeing all these fucking, these wokies acting up the way they are, trying to cancel Russia all over the place, dumping out the fucking vodka, shit like that, taking Russia off the map. Like, just they're trying to isolate Russia. What they're doing is they're turning Russia into the perfect destination for people that just want to fucking be completely off grid from all of the fucking nonsense, you know? Like, you want to completely duck and dodge the Great Reset altogether? Go move to Russia. Hell, you're not even gonna be found on a damn map out there. Yeah, if I already didn't have my own thing going on out here, shit, be a tempting spot to go move to. Go get myself a nice Slavic woman who isn't tainted by feminism. Yeah, a lot of people think they can get some sort of Ukrainian waifu, like the Ukrainian women are fleeing. Like, it doesn't work out that way. Like, Ukrainian women are well aware of how high value they are. Like, they're not just gonna come fucking be with some fucking loser. No, they're just like any other thought, basically. Yep. Yeah, there's a vast difference between a woman tainted by feminism and a woman not tainted by feminism. Because, well, women tainted by feminism, whenever they're in relationships, the very second the relationship gets a little rocky, much like rats fleeing a sinking ship, boom, they'll fucking decide to just destroy the whole relationship and throw it in the trash. Like, husband loses his job, they go through 2 or 3 months of a little bit of hardship. Like, oh my God, I can't take this. Boom. Decides to divorce him. Go rides the cock carousel. Yeah, women nowadays, the ones that with the feminist taint, they're well, I talked about winter soldiers. Like, there's a vast difference between a winter soldier and a summer soldier. The women nowadays, these fucking whores, they're summer whores, is what they are. Very second shit gets a little rocky, boom, fucking jump off a ship like a fucking rat, you know? But me, I need a winter whore. A whore that can last the winter, if you know what I mean. Like a winter soldier, but the female version, a winter whore. Like, I look back at some of the winters I've had here, like, there is no fucking female that has any degree of feminist ideology within her that could have lasted a fucking winter the way I have. Yeah, I need a winter whore. And you get the fucking temperatures that are down to in the fucking single digits. Sometimes it gets below 0. And I need a fucking bitch to keep my body warm at night. I don't need her complaining, you know. I don't need her like, oh God, I gotta get out of here. And goes back to her mother's. Like, no. Ain't no use for a summer whore. I need a winter whore. The only problem is feminism has created an entire generation of summer whores. They don't make winter whores anymore. They don't. Nope. Not unless you get them hooked on certain types of drugs and control them that way. Then you can fucking, a bitch will follow you to the gates of hell and back to get them hooked on the right drugs. But hey, that's a different show for another time. Yeah. Winter whore. Where was I going with this? Yeah, I hear a female pastor here recently decided to give up the faith and become a stripper. But, yep. Her stage name is the Whore of Babylon. You hear stories like that and just kind of breaks your heart a little bit on the inside. Then you hear another story about a goddamn a Tinder simp hooking up with a pregnant woman, and then in the middle of the date, her water breaks. So he takes her to the delivery room and delivers the baby. Fucking puts his name on the birth certificate. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, what's going on is these women, these summer whores, their behavior is rewarded and enabled by blue-pilled beta males. So in many ways, these fucking blue-pilled beta males are contributing to the degeneracy of women by enabling them and rewarding them when they shouldn't be. Yeah, let me tell you the tale of Lodonus Ravenwolf, aka Stephen Walton, aka the Fandom Menace historian. You will learn the true tale of simpery gone wrong. Yep. When simping fails and it fucking blows back on you, you can have real bad consequences befall you. Sometimes it can destroy your life, and sometimes it can like completely make you look like a fucking cuck, and you lose a lot of face amongst a lot of people. And that's what happened with the Fandom Menace historian, Lodonus Ravenwolf, Stephen Walton. Anyway, what happened was, well, let me preface this by talking about what the Fandom Menace is. It's the Fandom Menace. It's an online internet movement that sprung up as a knee-jerk reaction to how terrible The Last Jedi was. Just a bunch of people talking about how shitty The Last Jedi was, and a community kind of formed around it. Like, that's how bad that movie was. A cottage industry fucking formed up around it. But anyway, this guy Lodonus Ravenwolf, he like coined, that's like one of his names. His real name is Stephen Walton. But anyway, he decided to be what was quote unquote the Fandom Menace historian, where he would document all of the stuff that went on in the Fandom Menace. I don't know what. Somebody talked about how shitty The Last Jedi was on this date, and then they talked about how shitty Captain Marvel was on this date. Yeah, I don't know how you keep track of that kind of shit, but anyway, I guess he did. It was probably a title he decided to bestow upon himself to make himself feel more important than he actually was. His most biggest claim to fame was an actual fucking it was like an old school 1980s style wrestling promo he cut, where he channeled his inner Hulk Hogan, and he like called out Ethan Van Sciver for the whole Scott Snyder debacle. It was real funny, cringe, like real meta bullshit. But anyway, this guy, Lodonus Ravenwolf, the Fandom Menace historian, well, he decided to put together a stable. Now, when I say put together a stable, this is pimp terms. He decided to gather a bunch of women together and kind of like put them all on a show and just kind of like be their kind of manager, so to speak. Now, anybody familiar with females in that whole Fandom Menace sphere knows that, well, let's just say there was once a dude by the name of Jared, but he went by the name of Geeky Pixie. But he trooned out, and he fucking basically catfished the whole goddamn Fandom Menace. Like, there's not very many women in that whole sphere. The women that are in that sphere, they're kind of overweight and kind of fuglyish, and well, Anna, that Star Wars girl, it just goes to show how popular she is, like, because she's the only like semi-attractive woman in that whole fucking sphere, basically. I don't know if her calendar, I don't know how many months late it's going to be at it, but yeah, she's probably getting it made way more money than it should have. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're a female and you don't look like Rocky Dennis, and you actually have bobs and vagine, you can have people simp for you in the Fandom Menace. Let's put it that way. That's how pathetic a lot of these people are. It's just a lot of nerds, basically. Anyway, Lodonus Ravenwolf, the fandom menace historian, aka Stephen Walton, put together a stable of women consisting of the fandom menace sphere, and a lot of them were kind of fugly, overweight women. And one of these fugly, overweight women, he actually hooked up with, and he went down and started staying with her, and you could see him on the background of live streams with her. And she's one of these women that she's a single mother, of course, single mother. Now, anybody who's red pilled knows. All I had to do is tell you she's a single mother, and you know how the story goes. You know where the story is going. Anyway, yeah, her kid is like you could tell half black kid. So he's with a single mother who I don't know, this might be, I don't know how many kids she's got, but anyway, he's bragging about how he spent over $400 worth of sex toys for this bitch, and she's showing off a black dildo on the screen. I should have gave you an indication right there, Steven. But anyway, so a couple weeks into this quote unquote relationship he's got with this bitch, I guess she starts, well, like I said, single mother. She starts fucking her crack dealer and, well, starts cheating on him. And what he did was he paid her rent and gave her a bunch of money and bought her kid Christmas presents and shit like that. And in doing so, he thought he was entitled to the punini. And when she didn't give it to him and went and fucked her drug dealer and baby daddy instead, yeah, I guess it really burned his ass. So he was all shitting up the chat, talking about what a thought she was and how she took advantage of him, took his money, and she's a drug addict, how she fucks her abusive baby daddy and this and that. And all it did is just make him look like a total fucking cuck, basically. Like, Jesus Christ. This is a small microcosm of how worthless, stupid, blue-pilled beta males are contributing to the destruction of Western civilization. Because if Lodonus Ravenwolf was operating with full red pill awareness, he never in a billion years would have fucked around with a goddamn single mother. Anyway, she ended up costing him all sorts of money. Now he looks like a total fucking cuck. Yeah, there ain't nothing worse than a dude who has to spend money to try to get punini from a single mother and then throw that back in her face about all the money he had to spend on her. Like, dude. But this is just a small microcosm of how important the red pill is. I mean, how many of you out there listening to this had a similar story happen to you, where you decided to mess around with a low-quality single mother and she just completely fucked you over in one way or another, ended up costing you some money, maybe she ended up calling the cops on you or something? I mean, this is what single mothers do. Like I've said this before. The number one black flag a woman can have is she a single mother. That's it. The biggest black flag there is. Because single mothers are fucking trash. Any full red pill aware man knows this. That's why you stay away from them. It's like Superman and Kryptonite. You just stay away from that shit. Like they're single mothers for a reason. Like if they're worth 2 squirts of shit, then the men who fathered the children with them would simply be with them raising those children. The women are so fucking insufferable and such cunts. The men who father the children, the hatred for the wife is greater than their love for their children. Or the hatred for their baby's mama is greater than their love of their children. That's the reason. Such an insufferable cunt that you can't start a family with them. Yep, they're too selfish. That's the reason why. They're too fucking selfish. And one of the main reasons, because feminism turned them into summer whores. They're not winter whores. The very second the relationship gets a little rocky, boom, jump off. They don't know what it's like to sacrifice, because that's what real love is all about, sacrifice. Mutual sacrifice for the sake of each other's happiness. But feminism teaches women to be purely selfish. It's the antithesis of love is what it is. That's why it's one of the most dangerous, wicked ideologies there is. Because it is a direct assault upon love itself. Feminism. The ideological personification of what's called the Jezebel spirit. Yep. We as men have a responsibility to ourselves to ensure that we don't reward these fucking cunts when they act like fucking cunts. Lodonus Ravenwolf should have never fucked around with a single mother. He should have never fucking did that shit. He wouldn't have cost himself money, and he wouldn't cost himself his reputation looking like a total fucking cuck. There's many, many lessons can be learned. Like I said this before, a smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Yep. And then we as men, we have to train these women better. We have to ourselves not be these weak fucking beta cucks. Because whenever you act like a weak beta cuck, well, then you enable thought culture. And thought culture leads to the downfall of Western civilization, as we see. Sows the seeds of feminism into the hearts and souls of women, turns them into summer whores. Types of women who will jump off the fucking ship right at the first sign of rockiness. Now, we as men need to train our women to become winter whores. The type of whore that can ride out a winter and not fucking jump off the fucking ship the first sign of turbulence, if you know what I mean. Yeah, every year, birth rate's falling. People are having children older. Like, nope, can't be doing that shit. Because then when you do that kind of shit, when you engage in that kind of behavior and activity, then the social engineers win. We can't allow those fucking people to win. Because if we allow them to win, then what we do is we just become their slaves. That's it. We either allow the social engineers to win in the end and we serve them as their slaves, or we destroy them and throw off their tyranny, so to speak. There really is no in between. One thing they want to do is, you see, what they've always sought to do from the beginning of America's founding is to drive a wedge between America and Russia and prevent America and Russia from ever becoming friends. Because any true geopolitical analyst knows that if America and Russia were to ever team up and form an alliance, a true alliance, that's over. That's the most powerful alliance on planet Earth. Nobody stops that alliance. And then we put China in complete check. China, the true threat to mankind, not Russia, China. Yeah, we need to throw off all that old foreign policy that we've got from years back. The only problem is we got these fucking worthless boomers that are running the goddamn show. Boomers. Like your average age of your Democrat politician in America is like fucking 79, 80, something like that. Joe he's fucking in his 80s, same as Nancy Pelosi, all these fucking people. And they're all bound by this old school Cold War mindset. Like Joe Biden, he gave the fucking State of the Union address here fucking a few days ago. And he got fucking muddled up in the brain and thought he was back in the Confederacy. He gave the State of the Confederacy. Oh, look at these ninjas here. I got to take the whip to him. Joe, shut the fuck up. No, I don't know. I didn't watch that shit. I don't need to watch that shit. I can tell you exactly what the State of the Union speech was about. Corn Pop was a bad dude, and so is Putin. There, that's the speech. That's the speech. That's literally it. And everything else is Trump's fault. Yep. When in doubt, blame Trump. God, I hope that fucker doesn't run again. Yeah, the goddamn governor of Florida. If anybody gonna be running for the Republican ticket in 2024, I hope it's the fucking governor of Florida. Let's put it that way. He was the only one that had the balls to stand up against the mask mandates and all that fucking shit. Yep. Yeah, where was I going with this? Oh, I gotta get a drink. Yummy. Yeah, the fucking war going on, Russia, Ukraine. Russia's objective is to destroy all of the military facilities and targets in the Ukraine. Whenever you hear about Russia attacking civilians or shelling fucking any sort of civilian anything, it's all bullshit. Now, the Russians know better than anybody the dangers of a nuclear power plant getting fucked up, with Chernobyl and all that. The last thing they're going to do is shell a fucking nuclear power plant. That story was pure fake news, all bullshit. The goddamn Ukrainians set fire to a fucking building outside of the goddamn nuclear power plant that had nothing to do with the plant. And they use that as a catalyst for a fake news story to try to paint the Russians as, oh my God, look at how crazy Putin is. He's going to cause a nuclear meltdown. Yeah, what I'm worried about is in doing this fake war as a psychological operation against real dumb fucking Westerners, they're going to end up killing innocent people. And these dumb Westerners, and going along with the fake narrative, like encourage more innocent people getting killed. So in many ways, it's best to just completely disengage from this Ukraine war. Just don't watch any news on it. Don't fucking have any engagement with it. It's because it's much like the way it is with a snuff film. Like if you watch a snuff film, you yourself can be charged as an accessory to murder, because if nobody watches the snuff film, then there's no market for it, and thus they will not exist. And it's the same thing with fake news stories about the war in the Ukraine. If nobody consumes any news stories that are fake, then there won't exist a market for them, and thus the whole thing will just dry up. Because what they're trying to do is wage a war for the hearts and minds of the Western fucking dipshit is what they're doing. Because the war is already fucking over. The Russian military has already crushed whatever is in the Ukraine. They've destroyed all those facilities. Like they're using this type of weapon. It's called a Murmansk BN system. It fires real high frequency radio, or it's take every frequency there is and they condense it into like a laser beam, and they can completely destroy your missile guidance systems, your electronics, your GPS, and they can turn like an F-35 into a fucking floating hunk of steel, basically, and completely render it useless. Now, what they're doing to a lot of these military facilities in the Ukraine is they're neutralizing their weaponry, and they're just going in there and taking it over. There was several facilities. One of them was an American facility that they actually destroyed with regular ordnance, just blew the fucking thing up. Some people say it might have been a secret chemical weapons or bioweapons facility, or it might have one day housed nuclear weapons. But either way, the Russians decided to send a message and fucking blow that thing up with regular ordnance. But yeah, like I said, they would rather turn the Ukraine into a fucking battlefield from now to the end of time than allow it to become a part of NATO and allow it to be used as a staging area for an attack against Russia, or as a staging area to launch nuclear weapons. And it'll become a fucking drain on the West is what it'll do. These countries are going to spend money on their fucking military, is going to spend money on mercenaries funding a guerrilla war. Meanwhile, the gas prices in these countries are going to continue to rise. Russia's going to cut deals with China. They're going to get around all that shit. China and Russia are going to become more powerful over this. And the Western nations are just going to become weaker. We need to just completely throw out all that fucking nonsense foreign policy and look at China as the new geopolitical enemy that we need to target, instead of this old school fucking Cold War mindset where we look at the Russians as if they're still a communist country when the reality is they're a democratic fucking republic, you know? China, they're the real communists. It's like, come on, guys. Like, no. They're the ones we got all the deals with, and the ones we prop up and make powerful. Yeah, China has us in check, too. We can't do anything except fund a guerrilla war with mercenaries over there in the Ukraine. Because if NATO or America were to put troops there and try to do anything, boom, China is making a play on Taiwan immediately. Yeah, we're all hamstrung. But yeah, I got to throw out all that old foreign policy. But the only way to do that is, well, unfortunately, you got to wait until all of the boomers are dead. I've done the math in my head, and there's just only one way. The boomers, they've all just got to die out, basically. And then perhaps the earth will sigh and finally know peace when the last boomer dies. Boomers, the most evil, wicked, godless, heathen generation of humans the earth has ever spawned. The type of human that's purely beholden to the social engineers. You want to know the type of human that the social engineers wanted to create? Look at the boomer. They worship money and government, and they try to train their children and their children's children to do the same. And a lot of these fucking idiots went along with it. And part of that was to take up feminist ideology. Boomers. When the last boomer dies, then the earth will sigh and perhaps finally know peace. When the last boomer dies. Yep, the boomers, the masters of war, the whores of chaos, the ones who worship money and government, the ones who sacrifice their children's children to money and government, inanimate rectangular paper. The most evil, wicked, godless, heathen generation of humans the earth has ever produced. They will go down in history as the most hated, too. You watch. Yep. Men who sold the earth. Sold us all out. Motherfuckers. That's the only way. Once the last boomer dies and a whole new generation of leaders take over, then perhaps we can change things for the better. You know, a lot of these old fuckers are in their 80s now. Just fucking give it time, I guess. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. When I find myself in times of trouble, and Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Yep, just gotta let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Love will be the answer, let it be. Love is the answer. Yep. Once the majority of humans operate under the doctrines of strength, love, and common sense, reject the doctrines of weakness, ignorance, and hate, then the earth will know peace. But boomers, they're all about weakness, ignorance, and hate. So once that whole generation is dead and gone, then perhaps the earth will sigh and finally know peace when the last boomer dies. Yeah, people think that war in Russia and Ukraine is hardcore and badass, and oh my god, look at all the people the Russians are killing. They're slaughtering innocents. Like, these people don't know what total war is. You want to know a thing about total war? Look at the way the Romans conducted war, where they would just fucking put the sword to an entire city, kill all of them. Like, the Russians are doing strategic strikes against military targets. Like, there's a difference between total war and what the Romans are doing, or what the Russians are doing, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Total war. It's where you come into a city and you just kill everybody. Like during the Crusades. Like during the first Crusade, when the Christians went into the Holy Land, they went from city to city. They would fucking kill everybody in the fucking city. Everybody. At first, the Muslims didn't know, and in order to prevent the Christians from stealing all of their wealth, they would swallow their gold coins and shit like that. So after the Christians killed them, they would cut open their stomachs and steal the fucking gold from their stomachs. And they realized it was a lot easier just to simply burn the bodies than sift through the ashes and get the gold that way. Yeah, there was 3 different crusades. Christian and Muslim fucking just went in there and just fucking just slaughtered each other. Went in there, fucking slaughter a whole city, boom, slaughter another city. Yeah, it was actually during the 3rd Crusades. Saladin, the fucking commander of the Muslim armies, he actually broke protocol, and when he took over the city of Jerusalem, he spared the Christians, and he didn't fucking slaughter all of them the way the Christians had done. And that earned him a lot of respect with a lot of people. He didn't even burn down their sepulcher. He just left that and fucking, and he let him go. Anybody wants to know the story about that? It's a good movie. It was called Kingdom of Heaven. Ridley Scott, had Orlando Bloom in there. Yeah, that was well, it was the beginning of the Third Crusade, is what it was. After Saladin took over Jerusalem, and what happened was Pope Gregory VIII. He eventually fucking see what happens is the Pope. He's the one that calls the crusade. Anyway, he declares crusade. He calls the fucking kings of the land to fucking march on the Holy Lands, and it's up to the kings to answer the call, basically. So you had the German who was the head of the Holy Roman Empire at the time, Frederick Barbarossa. He comes and answers the call, as well as King Philip Augustus II, the King of France. He comes too, and they go march on the Holy Lands, and they do their thing, you know. They fucking take over cities, fucking kill the people. But eventually got to the point where they had a couple of real bad misfortunes, like the Frederick Barbarossa, the goddamn Holy Roman Emperor. He fucking died during the crusade. He sunk in a goddamn boat at a most crucial time. And then goddamn King Philip of France decides to fucking leave the battlefield. And this was right after they had taken over the goddamn city of Acre. They had just fucking taken it over. And they fucking captured all of the Muslims. And the Saladin, he's on his way. He's with his men. Now, what happened was there was some negotiations between the Crusaders and Saladin about an exchange of men after they had taken over the city of Acre. Now, at some point, negotiations broke down. It's because the third king had finally answered the call of the Crusades. King Richard the Lionheart, the King of England. Now, right in the middle of these negotiations, King Richard the Lionheart showed up to the battlefield. Now, what happened was, a lot of people don't know what happened. Negotiations ended up breaking down. That's what happened after King Richard showed up. Now, King Richard, he doesn't fuck around. He's called King Richard the Lionheart for a reason. Yeah, he won many. He was one of these warrior kings, is what he was. Now, the reason he was so late to coming to the battlefield because he was fucking around battling other people, and like he got detoured, so to speak. But he came to the battlefield right in the nick of time. Anyway, Saladin, he had returned a small number of Christian troops because it was a part of a prisoner exchange. They were going to exchange prisoners, and then Saladin was going to pay a massive ransom for the Muslims that they had captured. There was almost 3,000 of them that they had captured at the city of Acre. Now, what happened was, they don't know how these negotiations broke down, but they broke down. And King Richard the Lionheart, he decided to send a fucking message. Now, what he did was he got all of the Muslim prisoners and he brought them to the battlefield in front of the fucking city and presented them to Saladin and his army. And then what happened? King Richard the Lionheart ordered his men, kill them all. And they put the sword to all of the fucking prisoners. Now, nobody knows why he did this, but I have a feeling King Richard did this to send a message to Saladin. He's like, I'm not fucking around. I've just got to the battlefield and I'm ready to fucking kill. I'm not fucking around. Now, what happened was King Richard the Lionheart went on to win a series of battles, ultimately culminating in the Battle of Jaffa. Now, Jaffa was close to Jerusalem because he just wanted to send a message to Saladin, like, hey, look, I'm right here, right on the doorstep of the Holy Land, and I could fucking march on your city and take it over if I truly want to. But this is what King Richard the Lionheart did instead. He opened up peace negotiations with Saladin. Now, before this had happened, nobody during the Crusades had tried to have any sort of peace negotiations. It was all just pure kill or be killed. Now, the reason King Richard the Lionheart decided to enter into peace negotiations with Saladin is because King Richard the Lionheart was away from his throne for too long. And you see, King Philip of France, he was King Richard's rival, and he didn't want to leave his throne unattended because the King of France could march and take over his lands or whatever. So he had to figure out a way to wrap things up and get back home to protect his throne, because you don't want to leave your throne unattended too long as a king, because any sort of number of foreign invaders could come. So for that reason alone, King Richard, he had to basically have peace negotiations with Saladin. And they came to an agreement. And at the end of the day, King Richard, he got himself a nice little strip of land from Jaffa to Tyre. And he went back home to England. They had agreed that they were going to resume the war at some point. Like, it was just a little temporary lull in the battle. King Richard was going to come back and finish it at some point. But it never happened. And that's the tale of the end of the Third Crusade. Very many important lessons could be learned from that. And we see what's going on today with Ukraine and Russia. Basically, Vladimir Putin, he could be Saladin or he could be King Richard the Lionheart. Either way, he doesn't have no equal on his side that he can battle against. Who has he got? Poopy Pants Joe Biden? The guy's nothing more than a demented puppet. The fucking the Chancellor of Germany, who's supposedly the fucking head of NATO, whatever. Klaus Schwab. Like, who does Putin have that can be his metaphorical Saladin, so to speak? He's got nobody. Like, these countries of the West, they got nobody who can match him as far as a military mind goes. Except for Big Daddy, of course. Like, if they decide to put Big Daddy in charge of their legions and gave me full fucking, you have all the resources at your disposal to take down Putin, Big Daddy. Oh yeah, I could do it. But I'm not going to give them the blueprint, of course. Because you never know who might be listening to the fucking show. They hear a fucking plan of mine, and then they turn that into a fucking operation of sorts, and they go out and enact it. Yeah, maybe I'll give the blueprint one of these days. But yeah, he's having negotiations right now. Like, the whole thing may be negotiated. Like, the one good thing about this Zelensky guy from the Ukraine is he's basically a pure puppet. Like, what Zelensky is to the Ukraine is what Donald Trump was to America. Like, he's not even a real politician. He's basically a fucking actor, just like how Donald Trump was, like a reality TV star. That's who Zelensky is. So maybe using this guy as a cat's paw, Putin can maybe cobble together some sort of a ceasefire. But it only comes after the entire Ukrainian military is dismantled. Like, that's Putin. That's non-negotiable, according to Putin. The Ukrainian military has to lay down their arms and allow themselves to be dismantled. And there's also other things. Ukraine can never become a part of NATO, all that. If I was Russia, I would just simply annex the whole country outright. I mean, fuck, why not? They're already saying you're doing it anyway. Like I said, grant Voldemort status unto a man long enough, don't act surprised if he becomes Voldemort. That's what I would do if I was Putin. Shit. Just embrace the role that's fucking thrust upon you. Why not? It's win-win situation on every front. There's no situation in which he loses in this. Was it sanctions from the West? Shit. Doing him a fucking favor is what they're doing. We're the only ones suffering as far as what's going on. Just look at the gas prices. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah, they think they could arm a bunch of mercenaries with javelin missiles, and they think that's going to fucking stop the Russians. Like, that ain't going to stop them. What they're going to do is they're going to seize those javelin missiles and just produce as many fucking javelin missiles as you want and just throw them at the fucking Russians. All it's just going to do is cost you money. That's all it's going to do. And then they'll be able to get rid of their old surplus Soviet fucking hardware and replace it with their new fucking tech. Yeah. If the West truly wanted to make Russia stop, this is what they could do. You you force China to do something about it. The only way you could force China to do anything about it is well, you have to initiate sanctions against China. But the West will never do that, of course. Since China and Russia are so tied at the hip with a lot of their business deals, like, hey, China, you tell your buddy Russia to pull out of the Ukraine, or else we're no longer doing business with you. Then the Western nations, all the countries that do business with China, full sanctions against China until Russia pulls out. I guarantee you, within a weekend, Russia is out of the Ukraine because China will see to it. That's how you fucking take care of the situation. You force China to do something about it. But the Western nations don't have the fucking balls to do it. Because in order to force China to do something about it, you have to initiate sanctions against China. But no Western nation will do that. Yep, that's the blueprint. You force China to fucking do something about it. The only way to force China to do something about it, you gotta twist their arm. Twist their arm through sanctions. But if we don't have the balls to sanction them over releasing a fucking bioweapon, we don't got the fucking balls to sanction them over the Russians fucking exercising a goddamn military operation like fucking Ukraine. No. Yeah, just imagine if the Russians decided to go put a massive military base over in Toronto, Canada, and then turn Canada into some sort of ally of theirs, and then fucking put nuclear weapons over there in Toronto that could hit fucking DC in a matter of minutes. Like, don't you think America would fucking, try to stop that from happening? Yeah. A lot of people, they're incapable of exercising the emotion known as empathy. So they can't put themselves in the Russians' shoes and see things from their point of view because things are so obscured by the bias in the Western media. Yep. Well, shit. Ranted and raved quite a bit. Maybe we'll sing a couple songs and close the show out. Yeah. Things could be worse. Like I said, they could be conducting total war, like how it was back in the day, where you just fucking slaughtered an entire city, Crusader style. Yeah, who will rise up and be Vladimir Putin's metaphorical Saladin to his Richard the Lionheart? Who? The deadly trans general that Biden is putting on the case? Yeah. Watch out for the trans general, Vlad. Shit. What a fucking joke. Like I said, you can have a military that can win wars, or you can have a woke military. You cannot have both. All right, all right, all right. Yep. These motherfuckers. These masters of war. These whores of chaos. These men who sold the world. Yep. We passed upon the stair. Spoken wasn't when. Although I wasn't there. Said I was his friend, which came as a surprise. I spoke into his eyes. I thought you died alone a long, long time ago. Oh no, not me. I never lost control. Into face with the man who sold the world. I laughed and shook his hand. made my way back home. I searched the farthest land. For years and years I roamed. I gazed a gazeless stare. We marked a million hills. I must have died alone a long, long time ago. Who knows? Not me. We never lost control. Into face with the man who sold the world. The man who sold the world. Yep. Boomers. They could be looked at as the metaphorical man who sold the world. Sold us all out. Sold us out to the social engineers, their gods, money and government. It's not too late to reject all that fucking bullshit. One of the main key things is to reject the ideology known as feminism. Whether you're a male or female, don't be a male feminist. If you're a female, don't take up feminist ideology, because it is the antithesis of love, and it will turn you into a summer whore. Yes, train yourself to become a winter whore, the type of woman that can ride out hardship, you know? There was a time when people in relationships, when things started to get a little rocky and things started to get a little broken, whatever, they would fix it and mend it rather than throw it away. And what feminism does, it teaches women to just throw it away, because it trains them to be summer whores. Yep. And one thing about being a summer whore and the ideology known as feminism, it tricks these women into wasting the best years of their life pursuing school and career. Looking for a job in the city, working for the man every night and day, but I never lost a minute of sleep, worrying about the way things might have been. Big wheel keep on turning, turning, Proud Mary keep on burning. Rolling, 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 rolling on a river, rolling on a river, rolling, 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 rolling on a river. Cleaned a lot of plates in Memphis, pumped a lot of tang down in New Orleans, but I never saw a good side of the city until I hitched a ride on a riverboat queen. Big wheel keep on turning, Proud Mary keep on burning. Rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. I said rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. If you go down to the river, bet you're gonna find some people to live. Don't you ever worry if you've got no money. People on a river are happy to give. Big wheel keep on turning, Proud Mary keep on burning. Rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. I said rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. Complaining that I place down in Memphis, the pump that I team down in New Orleans. But I never saw the good side of a city until I hitched a ride on a riverboat queen. A big wheel I keep on turning, turning, Proud Mary keep on burning. Rolling, 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 rolling on a river. I said rolling, rolling on a river. Rolling on a river. Rolling on a river. Rolling on a river, proud Mary. Take a little of the old Creedence version, a little of the old Tina Turner version, flip it, Big Daddy style. Yep. Fucking masters of war and the horrors of chaos. Fucking boomers! Here come you masters of war. You that build the big guns. You that build the death planes. And you build all the bombs. But you ain't never done nothing but build to destroy. You play with my world like a your little toy. You put a gun in my hands, then you hide from my eyes. You turn and run further when the fast bullets fly. You done thrown the worst fear that can never be heard. Fear to bring children into this world. For threatening my babies, unborn and unnamed. You ain't with the blood that runs in your veins. Like a Judas of old, though I'm younger than you, even old Jesus wouldn't forgive what you do. And I hope that you die, and your death will come soon. And a part of your casket on a pale afternoon. And to watch as you, Lord, down into your deathbed. And I'll stand over your grave till I'm sure that you're dead. Here come you masters of war.